Alright, and welcome to this video. So in today's video we are gonna basically set up an application using Firebase, React.js and Redux. So the first part of the series is primarily just gonna be focused around setting up the settings and all of that. So to start out, I already have the original project here, but because I want to keep my configuration private so you cannot just access this data and interrupt the stream, I'm going to create a secondary project just to show you how to set it all up. And then I'm just not going to open this file here. That is going to be the one we're going to use, where the data is going to be. So to start out, we can go inside Firebase here, go to the console, and inside here we can create a new project, and we can just call this test. And this one is just going to be created here, and it's just going to take a second. So while this is waiting, we should go in here and just set up the settings. So npx create react app, and let's just call this the test one. Alright, so while this is running, we just need to go in here. It's actually fairly simple setup. You just click on the web and just type in your name of the app. Again, let's just call this test. And you can choose to set up Firebase hosting if you fancy. But in this case scenario, we are literally just gonna go and have these two. Alright, so what we can do now is, while this is running, we can just take a look at what we actually need to set everything up. So we create a React app, just a basic simple one here, and this is how a React app looks when you set it up. So okay, so we just set everything up in here. Alright, so what we can do now is actually we can go in here and we can go all the way down here and say Firebase.js, and in here we're gonna basically just import, and we're gonna import everything, and then we're gonna get that from Firebase. Just change this to const, and also we want to export default Firebase. Okay, so for some reason this setup contains some errors. This one up here doesn't contain any errors. Most likely for yours it shouldn't contain any errors. Anyways, this is how we set it up, and this is literally just it. So these errors here shouldn't be here, but if you get the errors, you will most likely be able to find a solution on Google. It just looks like it's Git failing here. So let me know if you have any questions as well. Alright, so what we want to go in now and do is we first of all go in here and continue to console, and then we go in here and actually delete this project because we don't need it. I already have that one. And then we can go in and delete this file, and then we can go into the app directory here. This was again just to show you how to set it up. So what we also need to do is we need to install Redux, React Redux, and React Røde and Firebase. And then let's go in and remove some of the styling from here, and inside the index.js we can just let it go as it is. So what we want to do now is we want to create a directory called components. And then, okay, so let's go up and move this code, this error up here. What we can try to do is run npm update. And then let's see npm one serve. npm start. Sorry for that. Alright. So what we should see now is just an empty file here, and what we also should be able to see is if we go and just put a paragraph to test that this is working. Okay, so seems to be an error here. Okay, now it's loading, good. So what we want to do now is we want to actually get rid of this file entirely, and we want to get rid of the logo file, and then inside here we want to just remove this. And what we want to do now is we want to go and have two folders. We want to have authentication folder, and then we want to have our so if we just actually go in here, try again. And then planner, or you can call it maybe just to do. Alright, so these are the two folders we want. So we also want to have a login.js, and we want to have a register.js file, and we want to have a to-do.js file, and that's what we actually want to start out with. So with that said, let's go in and import some things from the router. So what we want to do now is we want to set up browser router. And then we also want to have up here we want to have a routes component. So the way I do this is just by typing rcc and then click the tab button. and then we can put in all the routes in here. So that's why we want to set up all of our routes. So let's just go in and import that component. And what we want to put in here is, literally speaking, just a props called links, and that one is something we're going to set in later, but what we want to have in here is just a list of all of the links and the components that should load. I mean, you can also just go in and add the routes here, but I think it's more structured. But what we also could do would just be go in here and let's say route, and then we can actually remove this one here, and then we can say a path / login, and component should be login component, and then we can go up here and say import login component, and we also want to import the register component from components authentication. Then we want to go in here and we want to create an index.js file, and then here we want to export const login, and that should be then import login component here. And then what we can do as well is we can export the register component. And then go in here. We can put this into a new one and say register, and then we can say register. And just to make sure that this is working, we can put up a heading saying register, and then in here we can put up a heading called login. So if you go inside here and say register, okay, alright, so just to see why this is happening. Just to test something out here, so see if this is the reason why this error happens. Okay, so that's the reason why, so we can get rid of the index file here. Alright, so now that both of them are working and we have our route set up, what we want to do now is inside the Firebase configuration, this is the original project, inside authentication, we can go in under sign in methods and then basically allow sign in with email or password. What that will allow us to do now is we can actually register or sign up as a user using an email and password functionality, which is pretty neat because it allows us to store all of that in a database. Firebase is created by Google, so it helps us actually a bit there. Alright, so what we also want to install is framework, like for example Matilde UI. We can also go in and install Bootstrap. However, in this case I think just Matilde UI will go fine. But let me know if you have any other components you would like me to see building with. Alright, so while this is installing, let's set up the font here. And this is going to be set up in 2 tutorials. So one thing we want to do in this tutorial is basically set up all of the things we need, and then in the next tutorial we want to focus on the Redux part and signing in and all that. And then what we also want to do now is literally just set up the make sure we have this set up to have the responsive tags. Otherwise we just want to see if the button works, just to test out a component. So it's working. So what we can do here is we can just go in and put color maybe primary, and then we can go in and add this under a form. And then we can just put in register. Alright, so with that done, we want to go inside the components here, and in here we want to go in and literally just put in a text field, and you can see the different outlines we have and styles we have in here. So what we can do here is we can just go in and import that here. And then we can also add in, we actually don't need anything of the styles here, so let's just go in and say label, and let's put that as email, and then we want to have one with password. And the way we can do that is just by putting in type, as you usually do with an input field. Alright, So what we want to do now is we just want so it looks like there's some issues with the streaming software again. I need to fix that, but tomorrow I'm gonna be back with some more videos, and I'm gonna finish this off in a pre-recorded video and upload it online. But thank you very much for watching this video. Hope to see more from you guys, and let me know if you have any questions.